You're listening to this week's edition of the Tiger's Den podcast. New episodes releasing every Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Available across all platforms. Also, be sure to check out our other podcast, Play Callers, releasing every Monday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Available on all platforms as well.
Welcome to the Tiger's Den debut episode. I'm Taylor Gagne, joined by my co-hosts Max Mesman and Reese Kinder. And we got an amazing first episode planned for y'all. We're going to be diving deep into Victor Hovland being the FedEx Cup. We got college for you coming into full swing this weekend. We got all our predictions. And we're analyzing one of the worst trades in NFL history, the Trey Lance trade to the Cowboys. Stay tuned for more on the Tiger's Den podcast coming right up.
This just in, it's time for Have You Heard? Thanks for that intro, Taylor. We're going to go ahead and get started off with some Have You Heard today. And so, before we started recording this episode, you told me about Victor Hovland this weekend becoming the third youngest ever FedEx Cup winner. And as well, if I'm correct, I'm looking at ESPN right now, he also won the Tour Championship. Now, as somebody who 2 weekends ago, I met up with some friends and we golfed. This is the first time in like 5 years that I've golfed. It's not my sport, and I could tell whenever I golfed 72 on 9 holes. So, I mean, yeah. So,
on 9 holes?
Yeah. Hey. 5 years.
Come
5
on
years
now.
is not my best performance.
Get a 24.
44. What is that?
Hey, man.
I finished with a 1-0.
That's why it's not my sport. So that's why I'm going to kind of leave this topic to you. With Victor Hovland winning this FedEx Cup, what does this mean for the sport of golfing moving forward?
Hey, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm a big golf guy. I play golf all the time. Home course club, shout out. I'm gonna be
okay.
So I don't watch a lot of golf. It's kind of boring to sit and watch. I mean, it's like a nice Sunday afternoon. You want to take a nap. But yeah, Victor Hovland. He's always been one of my favorite golfers. He's 25. Actually, the first Norway-born golfer. Yeah. This is his victory. He got the BMW championship last week. He's on fire right now. He's just winning majors left. He was 11 shots better than the Open winner, Win Clark, who finished third. And he was better than big name Roy McIlroy, who I'm sure you've heard of. He started the kind of slow under, but they shot 19 holes to secure. And Max, how the FedEx Cup works is it's multiple championships combined. So he won the BMW championship last week and for this week, which all combined to give him the FedEx Cup. He got paid $18 million this week for winning, and he's earned $6 million in the past 2 weeks. Imagine what y'all can do with $26 million. Golf. Like doing love.
Yeah. No, that's
Fire. He's a young golfer. He's a big name. Probably going to be up there with Phil, all the big names when he's said and done. So, yeah.
Really?
For the game of golf.
Yeah, very young guy.
I mean, I've heard of Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Those names I do know. Yeah, and like you said, you don't watch golf that much, not that interesting of a sport. And I'm with you on that point. And, so Victor Hovland, great for him. I hope he does great in the future. And now I want to move to the sport I'm most interested in this time of year and that most people are interested in. Let's talk about some football. So my first topic to talk about is, it's not a huge one, but it's kind of huge to me because I'm kind of a fan of this player. The Bears cut P.J. Walker, and they're now letting rookie Tyson Bagent in the mix to be QB2 against
Walker Panthers legend.
So Taylor and Reese, as y'all are both Panthers fans, you know, P.J. Walker had that magical game against the Falcons, but not much else. How do y'all feel about this move by the Bears?
Terrible move. It's absolutely terrible. Nobody ever needs to trade P.J. Walker because even though he came from the XFL, he's still on the Panthers. If you look at it, last year he won. He won. I think it was 3 games, might have been 4. And
that was almost one last season, bro. He carried
Panthers
He's a
won
legend.
7. So we won 7 games, and I think he won like half of them, and including that Hail Mary, which DJ Moore, if he didn't throw his helmet off, we would have won that game. And we also beat the Saints
Oh,
on that last second goal.
yeah, I heard that. I heard that pause, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, you heard about
it was.
Walker's Saints, and you're trying to roast
Yeah.
over here, getting released.
All right. So here's
Maybe
how
the
I feel
Saints-
about this. Here's how. Okay, don't go that far now. Here's how I feel about this. Walker at 28 last year, he signed a 2-year contract worth $4.15 million. That's gone out the window. He's still going to get guaranteed $2 million. You know, so
Hey, he's getting paid.
Yeah, he's still getting paid, not as much as old Victor Hovland, but he's still getting paid. And so I think this is an interesting move by the Bears. It feels like they're going in a more youthful direction. And you think about, they still have Nathan Peterman, who did perform better in the preseason than PJ Walker. So they still have a veteran, and then they have 2 young guys that they can work with. So overall, I think this is an okay move by the Bears. It won't have, like I said at the beginning of the this segment, it won't have that much effect on like the Bears, because Justin Fields is their guy. Whether he's good or not is a totally different conversation. But I mean, yeah, so Justin Fields is their guy. I don't see this affecting much this season. And so, yeah I don't.
But if you,
I mean, you got to give it to PJ Walker. I mean, he's a dog.
Yeah, no, that's why I said I liked him so much, is because I mean, he worked his way up through the XFL, and you know, playing in the basically what's now the minor league of the football landscape, and you know, and so he's a hard worker, and he was able to get his shot in the Panthers and end up, like you said, get a payday, and he'll be pretty set still.
Well, see, if you look at it, that game against Buffalo, I think it was yesterday, he went 6 for 11 with 71 passing yards and threw 1 touchdown pass. So that's if you're looking for a quarterback. I mean, he also
Buccaneers, shout out. Hey, he's right there.
No, if you're looking for a quarterback, he's probably not going to be a start. He's not starting material, honestly, but he definitely can win you games.
He's a good veteran backup.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's like a Cam. He's like a Cam.
Shout out name in there for like who could sign him, and I would say the Cardinals, in my opinion. I feel like the Cardinals is the best landing spot for him.
I mean, him and Kyler Murray, you look at their play styles, very similar. PJ Walker could be a good mentor to Kyler Murray.
Exactly that, and also I mean the Cardinals have Colt McCoy starting right now, so I mean,
bro, where's Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray's injured.
Of course he is. He's like
last year.
He's like 5'6". Toddler playing on the football field.
You're wanting to talk about that with Bryce Young, but you know, once again, that's another.
No, he really. I think it would really help with the Cardinals because they brought in some dude like named David Blount yesterday for a quarterback, and he 11 for 22 with 93 passing yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah,
you don't really. That's not a lot of offense, especially the Cardinals. If they want to try to win a tough NFC West division,
they want to try to win at least one game.
Yeah, so you're talking about David Blau, who performed well at Purdue and performed well with the Lions last year as a backup. But no, like you said, yeah, you're right. And PJ Walker, I mean, with the Panthers last year, he was somebody who was kind of starting material. You know, you wouldn't like to have him as like your starter if you're, you know, a Super Bowl contending team. But I mean, worst case scenario, I would rather have him starting than Colt McCoy, who's basically like 47, ready to retire and get into a retirement home.
Well, Colt did good last year. He did good last year at the end of the year, especially even though the Cardinals were like 2-15. I think. Yeah, he did.
I don't know. I didn't watch as many Cardinals games.
Good.
Because no one watched Cardinals. Are never televised on anything.
He was born in 1986. So we have players in the league now like C.J. Stroud who were born in 2001. So I feel like it's a little bit past Colt's time, but who knows? Maybe he'll come out and do like a Geno Smith plus 10 years. You know?
Yeah, so. maybe a Derek Carr. So
yeah, we'll see. Okay.
It'll be his versus Derek Carr.
What you got next? Hey, what you got next?
Hey, man.
Have you heard?
What? What'd you say?
What else have we heard?
So another thing we heard was a bit of a bigger trade. Trey Lance going to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys sending a 4th round pick in next year's draft over to San Francisco. And you talk about this being one of the worst trades in history. I would say one of the more worst trades than this one between the Cowboys and the Niners is the ones that the 49ers did way back when with the Dolphins, when they traded 2 first-round picks to get Trey Lance. And I saw this one thing on Twitter from ESPN the other day, and what the Dolphins got from that trade was no. So now the 49ers, they got Trey Lance. That's what they got from the trade. What the Dolphins got, they got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Bradley Chubb, and another player I couldn't remember his name. So, I mean, you look at that trade, that might be one of the most crucial trades. Now, you know what's even crazier to me than the trade is how the 49ers are actually, they're not even in a terrible position, even though Trey Lance was a bust. Because you look at it, I mean, Brock Purdy's their starter, and he's like,
they got lucky with Brock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, so it's just an odd situation in San Francisco right now.
That's odd for the Cowboys because the Cowboys have Dak Prescott, who's like
unless Jerry Jones.
No, you know what's
a whole other story, bro.
Yeah, unless he plans on getting rid of Prescott, then.
You know what's hilarious to me, though? I looked at the depth chart the other day. Trey Lance went from being third string and basically cut on the 49ers to now looking at the depth chart for the Cowboys. It is still Cooper Rush in the second string spot. So,
Cooper Rush was good last year for those few games. So
Trey Lance went from being a bench warmer on a basically conference championship team to a bench warmer on a divisional round exit team. So, I mean,
he went to a smaller school in North. I mean, good for their division region, but I mean, against them as like Dak Prescott State, Brock Purdy, Utah State, North Dakota State, but top 5 pick. I mean, never really have a chance because he's been injured all the time. I mean, you just got to feel for the guy, and now he's a bench warmer on the Dallas Cowboys as management.
I mean, 100% I feel for him. I mean, you remember, Taylor, when we were doing our demo for this podcast a while ago, I talked about him being, possibly flipping the script and becoming the starter by the end of the season for the Niners this year. I mean, because he's got all the tools. Like, the tools are there. It's just, it's the same with Zach Wilson, You put a guy in the situation, you put all the chips in on a guy to be great almost immediately, and he gets hurt, and he's, getting banged up. And, I mean, it just sucks for him, because he's a player, and he's still 23. So, I mean, we could see, we could see his promising athletic ability, which we all know he has. We could see that blossom in the future as like a backup. But, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Or like think of a Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith was in the league. He's been in the league a while, and Trey Lance could end up being like that, where he just is a bench warmer for a lot of his career, and then all of a sudden gets that opportunity.
Personally, when Trey Lance got drafted, I felt he was a reach. Story, North Dakota State quarterback being a top 5 pick, and we all know how that went out. Like, Carson Wentz was good for one season, gets hurt, and then he's done. He's like, wow.
Well, the problem with Lance is I'm pretty sure he played. I think he played one game because it was COVID year, and he just played one game to let the draft prospects see how he was. I think he played that game against South Dakota State, and then that was it. I don't think he played. He only played that single game his whole career in college.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I remember that vividly because my granddad is a big North Dakota State fan, so he tells me a lot of their stuff. And he played in that one game. Now, granted, that was against South Dakota State, a really good team, and I believe it was a playoff game. And he performed very well, and he was 6'4", he's very sturdy, and so I mean he's a great prospect, And
good quarterback material, but
exactly.
I guess the 49ers just didn't want him. I mean, it looked like it at first, but then as soon as they found Purdy, then get rid of him and trade him.
Yeah, and one last thing I'd like to talk about before we move on to my last 2 points, and have you heard, is we see this situation with Trey Lance, and we see this situation with like Zach Wilson, and these QBs instantly just like falling out after these teams put all of their chips on the table for these QBs. Could we see that this year with, like, for example, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, and C.J. Stroud are all expected to start? All of them are 22 years or younger. So I mean, Anthony Richardson is a perfect example. He's drafted basically just solely off of his physical ability. I mean, he did not perform well. He probably performed overall the worst out of any SEC quarterback last year, if we're being honest, if we're looking at the stats. So could we see that possibly, like, history repeat itself with one of those three prospects, and who you got?
There's a possibility we could see it. I wouldn't say young because the Panthers really are going to give him at least 2 years. I would probably say Richardson because Stroud's young as well, and he's also on a terrible Texans team that hasn't really been relevant for the past few years since Deshaun Watson got into incidents. And I just see Richardson could be one, even though I don't really know. I think Sam Ellinger's the backup for Indianapolis?
Sam Ellinger,
Yeah, I would say that Richardson might be the one because he's last year at Florida, he really didn't show much. And I was kind of surprised he left because he's still this year he could have came back and possibly made a bowl game or something with Florida, and he could have gotten higher.
Work on his ability. So
I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with Reese with Anthony Richardson. I think Bryce Young has all the weapons around him. I'm not trying to sound biased because I know analysts are not supposed to be biased, but I mean, he's got weapons around him, and he's got a good quarterback producing coach in Frank Reich. I think it's definitely not going to be Bryce Young. I think with the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud can barely read and write, but I think he's got Dameon Pierce. He's got a young Dameon Pierce around him. He's got weapons around him on his offense.
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson, you look at his offense and you're like, okay, we got Quentin Nelson, who's our receiver one, Michael Pittman. Who else do we have?
So I mean,
nobody.
Their wide receiver core is all right now looking at it. Their top four wide receivers are Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, who I know is a rookie, but absolute stud, and Isaiah McKenzie from Buffalo. But
that's not that bad.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Colts are losing Jonathan Taylor. Like, Jonathan Taylor, he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that on the podcast because it would be a way too long of a conversation. We'll save it for another day when there's more news. But, Jonathan Taylor's gone. So, and from what I've heard from all of the trade negotiations is they're not going to get any running backs back, at least not this year. It's all just like picks, you know? So, I mean, you're looking at Zach Moss being your starting running back, who granted is a good player, but he's also injured right now and he's injury prone. So, I mean, you're looking at Anthony Richardson getting all of the weight put on him immediately. And so it just depends on how much leeway he has at first string, because he actually has Gardner Minshew, who was originally announced as the starter. He's his backup. So, I mean, it's already kind of a tight string on him. So we'll just have to see how patient the Colts can be with him, because I do think he is the biggest project quarterback this year.
Yeah, sure. I watched him in that
very depth.
Exactly. So
I watched him in that preseason game, and he threw a touchdown pass, I'm pretty sure, or he ran for one. But he did look nervous. It was first preseason. It was week 1, and they were playing Buffalo, and he threw a pick. It was not his fault. It was receiver dropped it, and it tipped into Buffalo cornerback's hands. So he just needs to learn how to read the routes of the receivers and everything, and he should be fine if they don't let him go.
Like I said, all the physical intangibles are there. He just needs to work on like completion percentage and just decision making as a whole. All right, second to last have you heard it's a big one, and I remember, Taylor, you said it was almost your trash can this week, but we're going to go and do it on have you heard. Arizona State is self-imposing a bowl ban for the 2023 season. So basically what's happening here is it's a decision by the university, according to Pete Thamel, an ESPN reporter, that acknowledges the severity of evidence in the ongoing NCAA case regarding the school's football program and the specter of the NCAA investigation into allegations of repeated and gratuitous recruiting violations has scattered many of the program's best players. This goes back to Herm Edwards' days as the coach. And so basically what this is Herm Edwards was trying to do NIL before NIL was legal. And in my opinion, I mean, I just hate when these stories come out, and
Yeah.
also because it's kind of like the Harbaugh situation. Like everybody was doing NIL, some form of it before, like all the big schools. Like you can't say nobody was doing it. Like there's a couple out there, and that's why I actually like that NIL is a thing now, because now they can do it more out in the open, and you're not getting like a bowl ban from a huge university, and making their entire season seem pointless. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I mean, heck, with Jim Harbaugh's situation, it was literally him buying a hamburger for a football player. Now he's missing 3 games at the start of the season. Now, granted,
Yeah.
Michigan State or Michigan's going to win those games regardless, but still, I mean, so it sucks for Arizona State. Not like they would have made a bowl. I had them going like 4-8 at best. So
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it just sucks for such a storied program, But we'll see them in 2024, I guess.
I think there's two things. There's two things with the bowl ban. It's also that Arizona State probably thinks that they can't compete in the Pac-12 this year, and they're probably going to wait till they do the conference realignment next year. And I also think that, Auburn, we saw Auburn do this in basketball a few years ago, and they just wanted to get it over with. So the NCAA didn't come to them and already do that to them. So Arizona State just wants to get this over with, move past this year, and just go into next year with a good mentality.
Yeah, I do agree with that because, like, next year they're joining. I mean, if you look at the Pac-12, I'll a bit later, but like the Pac-12 is really good this year. Like they have there's some solid teams in the Pac-12.
Best they've ever
Arizona State just thought, let's just get this over. They have a good young team. Top class this year. Enter class. So I think these young players can get good experience this season when they go into the Big 12, a weaker Big 12 now with all the realignment going on. They just wanted to get it over with, like Reese said. They wanted next year not having to do anything, having promise, having a reason to their season, like making a bowl game and everything.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing, I'm going to try not to spend too much time on this topic so we can go ahead and move on to some other segments. But, I mean, my biggest worry for if I'm a Sun Devil fan is losing Jaden Rashada, who you talked about, that big recruiting class. I mean, he's already slated to start as a true freshman. And, he already had all of that stuff with, like, Florida with his huge $14 million NIL deal and stuff like that, all that drama that happened. And he ended up recommitting to Arizona State. I mean, he's going to get a year to because they also got Drew Pine from Notre Dame, who I think is severely underrated in my opinion. But he'll be able to learn under Drew Pine and work on his passing game. But my biggest fear is that in just this big transfer portal frenzy, that he'll transfer either midseason or sometime in the offseason. But yeah, and then moving on to my last point, have you heard, is some great news to hear is Bronny James. The doctors determined that he had a congenital heart defect, which sounds bad at first, but reading more into this is that it's actually just a broad term referring to any abnormality or of heart structure that is present from birth, which results when the heart or blood vessels near the heart, I can't speak today, doesn't develop normally before birth. But it says turning to the court in a very, very near future. So basically, it's like a heart murmur or something, which is great to hear because a lot of people were fearing that, he possibly has had like a stroke, at such a young age or like, something happened, just, a lot of stuff. But this is probably the best news that you could hear, if you're the James family. And so, just glad it's nothing serious.
It's great for a young basketball player like him, especially just committed to USC, and his dad wants him to play in the NBA. So if he can get back out, get to work again, he should be fully healthy come this season, and he should be able to be a very high draft pick in the NBA draft and then play with his dad. And then hopefully him and his dad have a good career and get a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, at USC, look at this USC basketball team. I mean, you think of LA college basketball, you think of UCLA with all-time great Abdul-Jabbar, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love. I mean, Quez this past year, making the Final Four. I think it was Elite Eight or Final Four the past few years. Is a dominant force in basketball this year, and we'll get to see it. And that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, USC, getting this news that Bronny James is going to be back. Obviously, the number one thing is that we're all hoping that he, gets well and is fully 100% when he's able to take the court again. But, yeah, USC, this is great news. I mean, you got that big three of Collier, Boogie Ellis, and Bronny James. And, I mean, yeah, it'll be exciting to see the Trojans once Bronny James is back on the floor this year.
Yeah, because USC was good a few years ago with the Mobley brothers. We saw that in the NCAA tournament. It was great to see both of those two get into the NBA, especially Evan Mobley. He's been a dominant force with the Cavaliers, and his brother, I think, just got drafted this year and is going to be expected to play next year in the NBA.
Exactly. And so – that's all I have for Have You Heard. What about with what happened this weekend with the weekend rundown, Reese?
This is the Weekend Rundown.
So this weekend we started off with a lot of high school football and a lot of college football, and there was some preseason action and also MLB action and a little bit of the Little League World Series. So let's just get into it. So Friday night, we got a chance to see number one, Saraland, number one in the state of Alabama, defeat Lipscomb Academy by 1 point in OT. That game was absolutely amazing, and Saraland was able to pull off. I'm going to say it's an upset because Lipscomb Academy is actually pretty good, and it was at Saraland. But, yeah, that was a great game. And then we also saw Auburn defeat Hoover 39-14, and that was in Hoover. And I don't really think any of us expected that one to happen, especially with the predictions, Taylor. Yeah. And then,
yeah. If you talk to Coach, if you listen to our other podcast, Play Cars, which by the way is probably by the time that this is, check it out. Coach Smith, we talked with him. He was getting put on the map. Like you said, Saraland being academy, that Alabama football is being put on the map right now. It's all been a little bit small. You always had your Thompsons, your Saralands, your Hoovers, but we're seeing more teams. Like you said, Saraland. We're just putting Alabama on the map, and more of these recruits are getting offers from big name people too.
I was about to say, just like with the big recruits, I mean, Saraland's the obvious example with Ryan Williams, who's probably going to end up being the number one recruit overall in the 2025 class. We just absolute stud rocket at wide receiver. And so, Alabama football, as it rightfully should be, is starting to become the high school powerhouse that we all hoped it would soon become.
Yeah. And then when we just moved on to Central and Hewitt, that was supposed to be, in my opinion, a very close game, but Central ran over them. It wasn't expected, but Central might have a better team than a lot of people think this year, especially for them being ranked fourth in the state. It's a little high, a little low, but also Central probably. It's going to be good. They're going to have a lot of good games this year, especially the game against Auburn, and that's towards the end of the season. That's going to be a very good game at Duck, and should expect a lot of scoring in that game. And then this game wasn't ever close, never was going to be close. Opelika and got embarrassed by Thompson in the Crampton Bowl. And it was not a fun night for Opelika fans. We'll just say that.
I talked to a few Opelika people. I don't think a lot of Opelika fans were at that game. So it's
no.
That game next week, Thompson and IMG is going to be a really good one too. So
exactly, another chance to put Alabama football on the map in that game.
Even though I don't want.
Hey, I don't like Thompson, but let's go Warriors for that.
Yeah,
game.
no,
sure.
I'm going for them 100%. After that, the way that IMG Auburn game went. IMG is honestly just one of my personal teams I just don't like at this point.
Yeah, and especially they have a lot of good kids on that team too, so it's should be an evenly matched game for that one. And then another not so fun game too was Enterprise played a terrible Eufaula team, and it was final score was 63-14. That was I think we all expected that, especially how you said on Play Callers the other day, Max. You said that Eufaula hasn't really been that good the past few years, and especially
Or
Enterprise
ever.
is Enterprise is getting known now, especially with big blowout wins and also beating a lot of the teams in our region. And they showed no mercy this week against Eufaula, but they have a tough game next week at the Duck, first home game of the year for Auburn. And,
Auburn by 50. Auburn by 50. That's my early prediction. I'll get my real prediction on countdown.
Hey, we'll go
So
countdown. Don't y'all worry.
exactly
And then
on Friday.
This one surprised me so much. Foley
Didn't surprise me.
31-11. That's kind of surprising, especially how Prattville is supposed to be so good this year. Supposed to be better than they were last year. But yeah, that game was kind of it was supposed to be close, I would say. But Foley did upset Prattville at Prattville.
Well, once again,
this weekend.
I feel like Foley's another example of and like I said, that wasn't a game that surprised me. If you watch H's Countdown, I predicted Foley would win that game. And it's because of Perry Thompson. I mean, that's mainly the reason. Auburn commit, number 14 overall recruit in the 2024 cycle. And he came out openly and said, I'm playing every year in high school I'm playing every game this year, every game this year for Foley, and I want to get us to a state championship. I mean, you saw them last year with a couple big wins over the most notably over Fairhope. And so, I mean, yeah, Perry Thompson absolutely went off in that game. And once again, another nod to how high of a level Alabama football players are becoming.
Yeah. Well, now we're going to move on to, I think, my favorite and a lot of people's favorite, college football. This weekend started off with some week 0 action. You get into it.
Kind of mid.
Yeah, I mean, I expected Navy Notre Dame to at least be watchable for more than 10 minutes, but that wasn't the case.
Now this first game, we get into Dublin, Ireland. A lot of people got to love the United States military, but
Irish.
But Notre Dame, it's in the name Irish, so they had to win in Ireland, especially how bad they won. Number 13th ranked Notre Dame won 42-3.
But did y'all just realize how weird that game was?
I know in
the United States Naval Academy.
Yeah, I know.
Irish, the Fighting Irish in Ireland.
I have a genuine question. I know it's early, but I love doing overreactions. That's what we love doing as analysts. We love talking about stuff like this. Is Notre Dame how big is that game against Ohio State? I think it's week 4 in Notre Dame. I mean, that game is huge.
Sam Hartman's a dog. Heisman
Sam Hartman, 19 for 23, 250 plus yards, and 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, hey man, I'm not trying to say it too early, but watch out for the Irish because they actually have a quarterback this year. That's the main thing.
Well, you said at Ohio State, right?
No, it's in Notre Dame because they played at Ohio State last year, and they played close.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a few weeks.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to, say it too early, but
But yeah,
all right, Reese,
game
what else
was. You got so Jacksonville State made their D1 debut, and they were looking good for a little bit. 17-14 against UTEP. That pick to end the game. I know Coach Smith said he was there with his son. Probably a great atmosphere, especially I heard Jackson State one time last year, I think had 18,000 fans show up to their game in Anniston. And then you had I would say it was kind of surprising how UMass ran over New Mexico State like that in New Mexico. And UMass won that game 41-30. And this year, actually, UMass is looking for their first bowl bid in CFP history.
Not going to happen.
No,
Not gonna happen.
it's
next.
not gonna happen.
Upset against Auburn?
They have-
Upset against Auburn?
Not-
Question mark.
What?
Bro,
What?
The spread
What?
is 38 points.
Yes,
right now.
38 points exactly, and it's not gonna happen. And then they got UConn too this year, and that's gonna be a close game, but UConn still is gonna win pretty bad, especially how bad they beat them last year. And then I don't think anybody watched this game. It was San Diego State and Ohio. That game was a close game for a while, but Ohio looked like they would win it, but then San Diego State ended up coming out on top 20-13. And then you had a little more Conference USA action between FIU, who just joined the conference. They went from independent to Conference USA, and it was against Louisiana Tech. That game was 22-17, and it was actually a fairly good game. I kind of wanted to see FIU wear their black uniforms that they were supposed to wear, but I think that's for home games only. And then Heisman winner last year, Caleb Williams. I never want to see them give up 28 points again against San Jose State.
Yeah,
That's never needs to happen again.
I have more to talk about that later. So
Yeah, that 58 or 56-28 was the final score of that game. And then last, we are going to Nashville for the weather delayed game where everybody had to evacuate the stadium because the scoreboard was flying.
Bruh, the construction
yeah,
Through, yeah.
scoreboard.
But
on a
anyways-
crane.
Anyways, last year
Poverty
we had
franchise.
Vanderbilt. We had Vanderbilt in Hawaii last year, 63-10, week 0.
yeah.
And Vandy didn't look as good this year with a 35-28 victory. I don't know if it's because they felt sorry for Hawaii or they like last year when they beat them. I don't know if they felt sorry for them or it's just they just weren't ready after that rain delay. And then now we are going to go to preseason. Max's favorite quarterback, Bryce Young, got his first touchdown pass of preseason.
Let's go! Absolute unit!
He got his first touchdown pass of preseason, but the Panthers still managed to lose 26-17. I don't know how. The defense is absolutely.
You're going to
pathetic
hear
right
that
now.
a lot this year. Manage
Nope.
to lose. Manage
Monday
to
night,
lose.
Monday
somehow.
night, Monday night.
Going to
football.
hear that a lot this year.
Hey,
Manage
stay
to
on
lose.
track. Stay on track.
Somehow.
We got a lot of stuff to go through.
All right.
Next, we have the Titans.
Anything else interesting, besides, short quarterbacks throwing touchdowns?
Willis was pretty interesting against the Pats. He got, I'm pretty sure he got a few rushing yards in that game, and he also threw a few passes. He's a guy that if Will Levis ever struggled, then you could put him in at starting QB, even though last year he was not that good. And then I'm going to talk about how the Seattle Mariners are absolutely just dominating right now.
We'll go more into that a little later.
They keep winning. And the Philadelphia Phillies make home run history with 47 home runs in a month. It's actually insane how they did that. And then the Arizona Diamondbacks are back in a wild card spot after that big tumble after the All-Star break. And then today in the Little League World Series, California won the championship after
Louis Lappe, man.
Louis Lappe hit a walk-off home run. And that's something you dream of in the backyard when you're playing wiffle ball, especially Taylor. I know he should have been in the MLB. And then, as we all know, Victor Hovland stays hot and wins the FedEx Cup. He shot 27 under and
Hey,
absolutely
shout out to my boy,
dominated.
my Norwegian boy.
Amazing weekend.
Norwegian, I think, is the correct term.
You say Norwegian?
Oh, no. Norwegian is crazy.
All right, that's going to do it for Reese.
No more segment for Reese at this point.
Absolutely dominated. And that's your weekend rundown. We'll be back. And I think it's Taylor's segment.
Huddle up, because it's time for Taylor's Team Huddle.
Team Huddle.
Hello! It's game week. You got
Nope.
TCU.
Nope. Next segment.
TCU
Next
this
segment.
weekend.
Next segment.
So much to prove for this brand new team and a
Next
Pac-12
segment.
that's strong as it's ever been. Last year, Pac-12 is even a thing because it's going to trash next year. You got a 6th-ranked USC, Caleb Williams, 10th-ranked Washington team. Bo Nix, the GOAT for Oregon. 14th-ranked Utah team, 18th-ranked Oregon State. New Coach Sanders, Coach Primetime. It's going to be primetime. 5-star Travis Walker, 21st recruiting ranking, 1st overall transfer ranking. This team can make a splash, and a New Year's Six bowl game. I would even say the college football playoffs.
Yep.
Is this me sleeping on Colorado? Because I am. I'm
3-9. 3-9.
Football world.
3-9.
Going 1-11 last year.
I got my ear mittens on, and I'm
spring
sleeping
game.
all the way home.
Guys,
on
y'all
the
are crazy.
Colorado Buffaloes.
A sold-out spring game. Come on. Buffalo fans are in for a treat this fall.
Hey, no.
Transfer.
Will their stadium be packed out? Sure. They'll be packed out to watch them get blown out 54-10 by USC.
All right,
I mean,
you just see. All right.
Hey,
That's all I got.
Nebraska,
Wake me
USC,
up when they
Oregon,
break.
Oregon State,
huddle up.
Washington,
Huddle up,
All right.
Buffalo fans. Come on, Colorado. Let's go.
Washington State, Washington, Oregon State, Oregon.
Let's move on to.
I already named all of them.
I'm naming all of them.
You weren't listening to me and not ruining. Would have heard this.
Who is this week's MMVP?
Hey, man. In my opinion, nothing against you, Taylor, but I feel like you kind of ruined it when you mentioned the Colorado Buffaloes as your team of the week. But with that being said, let's talk about an actual relevant Pac-12 team with the USC Trojans. And with my MMVP, Max's Most Valuable Player of the Week, go ahead and play that soundbite. And, yeah, so we're going to go with you talked about Caleb Williams performing very well, which he did, Heisman Campaign 2.0. But let's talk about Zachariah Branch. That is my MMVP of the week, the number 7 recruit in the 2023 recruiting class. And Branch took over the third quarter and zoomed his way to 232 all-purpose yards and 2 touchdowns on just 9 touches, including a dazzling 96-yard kickoff return for a score that helped cement the result. Just some official stats here. At receiver, he recorded 58 receiving yards on 4 catches, also had a touchdown. At punt returner, he had 66 yards on 3 returns, which to a 22-yard average, pretty good. And then that return where he went 96 yards to the house. Talking about USC, though, which I love Zachariah Branch. He's my MMVP of the week. But I kind of did this as a cop-out so we could talk about USC just for a little bit. When is Lincoln Riley going to get to practice and just be like, hey, guys, offense, just take a breather for today. We know you're so good. We know you got, all the running backs, wide receivers from the transfer portal and recruiting. We know you got Caleb Williams, and you also got a 5-star top 10 recruit on the bench. We know you got all that. When are they just going to sit down the defense and be like, hey, can y'all just stop anybody? Please. Just stop somebody, and you got a top 5 team. If they're able to hold any team, they couldn't hold San Jose State to under 25 points. They held them to 28, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns against a mediocre San Jose State team. Even Auburn could hold them under 20 points last year. And Auburn was terrible.
Not talk about that.
So, yeah. Come on. When are we going to be because I love Lincoln Riley. I love him as a coach. He's a great offensive guru. I think he's one of the best offensive coordinators in all of college football and all of just football in general. That guy can just draw up any play, at any time. But let's talk about him as being a head coach. And I think it's the same way with Steve Sarkisian at Texas, which is why I don't believe all the Longhorn hype, but that's another thing for another day. So
we're back.
Yeah. So see, they're not. It's the same way, and it's why I honestly have more faith in Mario Cristobal at Miami. Which is why I have more faith in him winning a natty before Lincoln Riley or Steve Sarkisian ever touched the CFP. Because he is a full all-around coach. You look at Dan Lanning.
USC is not even winning the Pac-12.
The thing about Lincoln Riley is he's never once cared about defense, especially in the Big 12. They don't know what defense is, and when they come to the when Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC, it's gonna be bad because you're gonna see them lose to teams like Texas might lose to Alabama this year. That's kind of a preview we get. They might lose 21-17. But Oklahoma, if they were ever to play Alabama, they would probably lose like 45-28 or something. And especially USC, last year we saw Auburn almost lose to San Jose State, but Auburn was able to hold them under 28. And you can't let a quarterback who was recruited at the University of Navy, San Diego Garcia, get 3 touchdown passes and 198 passing yards. He could win Heisman if it was only week 0. And
exactly.
It's ridiculous. They have no defense.
That's why I honestly have more faith in Brett Venables winning the Natty this year as a coach, because we know it's a cliche, but it's true. Defense wins championships. You can score 56 on Alabama, but if you don't have a good defense, Nick Saban's going to find a way to score 57. That's just the truth. That's what good coaches do. They play really good defense, and then they find a way on offense. And USC is just like, I just don't understand it at this point.
University of Cincinnati or Tulane over USC to win the national championship this year. If Tulane was eligible, they would probably win it.
I mean, I disagree with Cincinnati, but I mean Tulane, we saw it last year, Taylor. We saw Tulane pick apart their defense when they were up by 17 in the beginning of the fourth quarter. I mean,
when you go back and watch highlights of that game, it's their defense, like they have no cornerbacks. Like they don't have anybody on their defense that I've never heard of them. They probably came from Oklahoma. That's probably why. Because Lincoln Riley got a lot of them to come from Oklahoma with him to USC, and especially last year, they would have won the game. It was 4th and 18. They would have won the game, and then literally can't even stop a 4th and 18. That's how bad their defense is.
I mean, my boy Ty J. Spears, I mean, he ran all over them. All over.
I know. There's a dude, Nash, got 6 receptions for 89 yards and three touchdowns. All 3 touchdowns went to him.
Exactly.
Even though I think they had 1 rushing touchdown. It might have been by the quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, talk to me if – I'm going to end this segment with this. If you're a USC fan, if you're Lincoln Riley, if you're the Trojans organization, talk to me about making the playoffs and about being top 10 ranked whenever you can stop somebody on 3rd down. Talk to me. Like I'm open for conversation to say, hey, I got USC in my CFB predictions. I think they can hang with these teams. But we saw it with TCU last year. When you can't stop people, because there's going to be that one game where you just can't score. And you're going to have to find a way to be chippy and be able to stop them on defense and then produce just enough offense. And we've seen USC every year when they play Utah. They're just not able to do it because Utah is a chippy team. They got a defense.
This is what's going to happen when you see these teams join different conferences. The Pac-12 is USC and UCLA are going to lose 5 games a year in the Big Ten.
Until they can get a defense.
Yeah, they're going to lose to Michigan, Ohio State. They might even lose to Nebraska. Like, it's not going to be good for. Yeah,
I mean, I'd put them losing to Minnesota this year. Just because Minnesota's a tough team and they're reliable. Definitely have them losing against Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's got those Siberian bears on the offensive line and defensive line. So. Yeah. But that's going to be it for my MVP segment. Now, Taylor, who do you got as your trash can? It better not be USC because that'd be redundant.
All right, roll the intro.
Yep.
Straight from the garbage disposal, this is Taylor's Trash Can.
All right. I'm going to keep it a buck right here. The Texas Rangers are one of the worst MLB organizations I have ever seen in my life. There's no way that you can tell me you looked at this team at the All-Star break, like one of the best records in the MLB, and tell me they are second in their division right now to the Seattle Mariners. First off,
I mean, to be fair,
they spent so much money this offseason. Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, two top-tier infield players, two of the top MLB voting odds, and the MVP voting odds. You look at their pitching rotation, Aroldis Chapman as their closer, Max Scherzer before the trade deadline, and you have one of the Adolis Garcia. Yet you still go 1 for your last 10, and you lose 9 in a row over past 2 weeks. They were 24 games over 500 and on the cruise control to make the playoffs. And in the American League, they did not even make a wildcard spot to the Blue Jays. I just don't understand. Like, I'm pulling my hair. How is this team winning games? Like, what is going on in Arlington right now? Is it management? Is it attitude? Is it ego by the big players that they have? Like I could just throw this team in the trash. First of all, the no fans. I've never met a Texas Rangers fan. You have top players in the MLB. You can't do anything. You're 53 hits in your last 14 plate appearances. You've allowed 61 runs in the past 10 games. That is 6 runs a game to your opponents. You played the Twins. You played the Brewers. You played trash teams that the Braves beat by freaking 10 points. Swept both of those teams. Like, what are you doing right now in Texas? Like, I don't understand. Like, it makes me so mad, and I just want to throw them in the trash. I never want to look at them again. I don't want to see them in the playoffs because they're going to get swept by whatever team they do. They're going to lose in the wild card. They're going to lose to the Astros. They're going to lose to the Mariners. They could lose to any American League right team. I could say they would even get swept by the Oakland Athletics right now. That's how bad Kansas City Royals are coming for the Texas Rangers.
It's getting close. It's really close. But no, I thought the Angels were bad at the trade deadline. What is going on in Texas? Max Scherzer is 38 years old. And you can't even win with him. It doesn't make sense. I know he's terrible at the Mets because the Mets can't win. They're 25 games out of first place, but that's a different story. The Athletics are 36. But, you know, right now they're tied with Houston, who hasn't won a game since probably George Bush was president. But, you know, the Mariners won today against the Kansas City Royals. And,
Bro, no one cares about them winning against the Royals. Like, we all know the Royals are bad.
No,
Kansas City stick to football. Kansas City stick to football. You got Patrick Mahomes. Just go for him.
I agree with Taylor on that point. I'd like to say I agree with Taylor. But no,
he can play twice.
I remember.
If you live in Arlington, Texas right now, you need to unfollow baseball. You need to just throw away your baseball glove. You need to throw away your season tickets. You need to go to the Cowboys games. You need to just focus on the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, Trey Lance, all them. You can be excited about the Trey Lance trade, even though it doesn't matter. He's your third-string quarterback. Just give up on the Rangers. Like, they're not going anywhere this season. I sound like Stephen A. Smith right now, I know. But I am just so mad that you have the give those players to other teams that are bad, and they would probably win more games than you because you're just bad. You have no fans. You're a poverty franchise. You haven't ever been good since Prince Fielder or whoever, that white dude that was really good. I don't care. They're just not good. Like, let's just move on. They're in the trash. They're thrown away. They're gone. They're irrelevant. They're poverty. They're poor. They have no fans. They're just done.
Yeah.
The Athletics would be like probably in playoff contention right now if they had all the Texas Rangers players.
Yeah.
How are you going to spend $174 million plus in the offseason and not be good? Like, you were so good and now you're so bad. Like, I just don't understand.
They almost had the same record as the Braves in like
they were like ranked above the Braves in the power rankings multiple weeks in a row.
I remember.
And now they're second in the division.
Not too long ago, this year's All-Star game, I remember tuning into that and seeing basically the entire.
It was the Rangers team.
It was just the Rangers team, and that was before the Max Scherzer trade. So I mean. You know,
I think it's ego. I'm going to be honest. I think it's ego. Max Scherzer knows he's good. He knows he's expensive. He knows he's getting to the end of his career. He knows he's one of the greatest pitchers of this century. I mean, I think it's ego because you have all these big name players. You pay all these players. I mean, you have the third Adolis Garcia is third-ranked home run leader of the AL. I mean, you have, like I said, two of the top AL MVP voting odds. I mean, I think it's just ego at this point. They're not working together. They're not a team. They're not like these big-name teams, like these really good teams like the Braves, the Mariners. They're not – I mean, not small players, but not big ego players that aren't getting paid max contracts and coming together trying to win games.
Yeah.
I heard Scherzer, he's kind of like a prima donna of the team all the time. So that's why the Dodgers didn't win a World Series, and that's why they lost in the NLCS to the Braves in 2021. And then that's also why the Mets could never win a division because he was so bad. And then also him and Verlander never got along, so they want to throw at each other.
I mean, it just shows you that you can sign all these big-name players, and it doesn't mean you'll be good automatically.
No, because Texas only has a 65% chance to make the playoffs, and they had like a 90% chance 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
We see it in basketball all the time. I mean, now I can hear y'all going back and forth, and I'll be honest, I've been not as heavy as I should be on my baseball game because my mind's just on football. Like it's like it's like a new Christmas present. Like I just can't stop watching it. But
yeah.
I mean, from my outside view, I mean, it's like you see in basketball, like with the Lakers. Yeah, they won that championship, back in 2020, which was like everybody's asterisk year.
Mickey Mouse
didn't count. Didn't count.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, I mean, you keep signing these big name players, but none of them are able to play with each other because they all want to be the superstar. So, I mean, that's my view on it. But I think, like you said, Taylor, they're in.
I mean, all we're going to do, we're going to crumple them up. We're going to throw them away. I'm sorry, Texas fans. Focus on the Cowboys. That's all you have to hope for.
Yep. And now we're going to focus on and now we're going to focus on the prize picks. Go ahead and play that intro, baby.
Not sponsored by the app Prize Picks. It's time for Max's Prize Picks.
All right. So now I tried to make this, and now this is our last segment of the day, but I tried to make it, among all sports. But, I just couldn't. After a long time thinking about it, we got college football next weekend. And boy, oh boy, is this slate a treat. Now, the Saturday slate, like you said, Reese, before we got onto this podcast, it is a little bit weak. I'm not going to lie. But there are a lot of intriguing games. Not necessarily close games, but intriguing games. But I want to go ahead and start off with a couple of conference games because, I mean, as analysts, conference games are really what matter most. It doesn't matter how trash you are. Like, conference games are what's going to make or break your season. So we're going to go and start off with the first prize pick. It's Northwestern at Rutgers, Sunday, September 3rd at 11 a.m. on CBS in Piscataway, New Jersey, for the battle of who's going to finish last in the Big Ten this year.
Wait, did you just make up a city?
No, I did not.
That is
actually where they play. I am not joking. Look it up.
That sounds like the city in My Little Pony.
That is actually where they play. I'm not joking. Look it up. And
is that the ocean?
Who's going to finish last in the Big Ten? And the line is Rutgers 6.5, over under of 40.5. So I'm going to go and let y'all know I've got Rutgers winning this one. Just at home with all the stuff going on with Northwestern's program. I honestly, looking at Northwestern's schedule, I don't see them winning a game this year. It's tough to be a Wildcat. And then I'm taking the under for 40.5 points. This game is not going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a lot of running the ball. Neither of these teams have a quarterback that's going to make it past, that shouldn't have made it past high school. And so, this game's a rough game. What are y'all's predictions for this?
I'm going to go, if there was ever a tie in college football, I would go tie. But, Rutgers, honestly, I think they'll be a lot better. Because last year they went 4-8. Before that, they went 5-7. I remember when I was like 8 years old, they were like 2-10. I always thought they sucked, but I think Rutgers is gonna easily win this game. I'm gonna go the under on this game here.
I'm definitely gonna go Rutgers by 6.5. I would definitely take that spread. I'm gonna have to go with under as well. I know we talked about Big Ten not being as strong at defense, but I mean, both of these teams are poverty. like the Texas Rangers.
Like the God dang it.
I've never met a Rutgers fan. I don't think there are any Northwestern fans anymore after what happened with their football program. So I'm just gonna have to go Rutgers as a pity vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't met any fans.
Tell me if you've ever met a Rutgers fan. You're walking down the street. You're like, "Hey,
Oh, yeah.
you're a Rutgers fan. You live in Peninsula or whatever it's called."
Seen a Rutgers fan. They are amazing. I mean, absolutely amazing. They have nothing to cheer about.
This man is making this up. There's no.
I would bet all the money in the world that you've not met a Rutgers fan. Like,
I went to Rutgers.
Oh,
hey, but have y'all seen that Northwestern coach that's ripped? Hey, shout out to that guy. He's probably fired by now because he's probably part of the scandals. But it doesn't matter. Go Rutgers. Go Rutgers.
And we're going to move on to the next one. This is, once again, another conference game. I got 4 in-conference games on the slate here to start off. This one is a little bit more interesting, I'd say. It's Louisville versus Georgia Tech. Half-flat kickoff game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This one's line is interesting to me because the line is Louisville by 7.5 with an over-under of 49.5. Now, this game, I am a big Georgia Tech fan. Behind Auburn, I'd say they're my second favorite team. I just love their school. I love Bobby Dodd. Games there are great. And something about Brent Key. Hey, something about Brent Key just tells me that the Yellow Jackets are going to be fired up for this game. And I remember 2 years ago going to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for my birthday to watch them for 21 in North Carolina against Sam Howell. Spread was...
And how much did they lose by?
14.
40.
No, we won. We won 42 to, I think it was 24 against Sam Howell, North Carolina in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I must have been asleep.
I've got Georgia Tech winning this game. Give me them by more than 7.5. I got them winning by 14. And give me the over, actually. I got this being a high-scoring game.
All right. Let's be so for real.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech is not, like, just focus on your academics. I mean, you're
hey, man.
I mean, it's a good school. It's a good school. I'm not knocking it. It's a really good school, really good program. I love what they do over in Atlanta. It's a nice campus, downtown Atlanta, beautiful. But you got to go Louisville here. I mean, I don't know anything about Louisville. I have no idea who their players are. Frankly have no idea who Georgia Tech players are. I know that Georgia Tech used to run that weird offense that Navy runs, and they never scored anything. They would always get blown out by Georgia. I'm going to have to go Louisville here.
I'm going to go.
Over-under, I'm going to go under because I don't think these teams are going to score anything.
I'm going to go with Louisville 45 because Georgia Tech sucks. Last year I watched them. No. Last year I watched them play, and it was so pathetic. I mean, I've never.
Hey, Haynes King, Dark Horse.
Max, you are the most biased analyst I've ever seen in my life.
Haynes King is going to get Haynes King is going to be so much better this year. Well, Georgia Tech always has a great run game. We got Dominic Blaylock. We got Dominic Blaylock for Georgia Tech from Georgia, and I don't know. I'm actually not trying to be biased at all here, and I've got Georgia Tech winning by 14. Give me them.
We'll see.
No. Okay, here we go. So I would call this the miserable half-whack kickoff. This is the worst game ESPN could have ever picked on a Friday night. I would rather watch Stanford and Hawaii play.
Okay. Let's not be stupid now.
And then I'm gonna take the under because both these teams came in and scored 4 points. But
35-21. You heard it here first. Georgia Tech. 35-21. All right.
Next game.
Next we move to Nebraska at Minnesota. Talking about this game before we got into the podcast. Honestly, I mean, we're going to see Matt Rule, see how they do in their first game. And we also got a former Georgia Tech quarterback who, and this isn't even me being biased, but a lot of analysts are talking about him, Jeff Sims at Nebraska. He's officially got the starting nod, dual threat. And they're going to Minnesota, a tough place to play, a Huntington Bank Stadium. And the line right now is Minnesota 7.5, and the over-under is 43.5. I've got Nebraska winning this one, actually. I've got them upsetting Minnesota in Minneapolis. It's going to be a great game, and I'm going to go with the under here. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game because opening games are so weird because both teams are they're playing in their first real action. It's not like NFL where you get a little bit of taste of preseason. You have a super long fall camp. I feel like Nebraska's going to come in, and I believe in Matt Rule. I feel like Matt Rule is a great college coach, terrible professionally, but he's a great college coach, and I think he'll get it done in Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I think Nebraska. Ever since the schedule came out, I've had them winning this game. Honestly, Minnesota to me is a little overrated. They were good a few years ago, but yeah, I just see Nebraska. Honestly, I see Nebraska probably winning by about 14 to 20 points because Matt Rule. I've seen on Instagram and Twitter and everything. I've seen his practices and everything. It looks like the players are really gelling, unlike Scott Can't Win Frost was doing over there. But yeah, no, I think Nebraska will probably run over Minnesota, especially even though it's at Minnesota. Because last year I watched Minnesota lose to the University of Bowling Green week 1. So yeah, I just see Nebraska easily winning that game, and I'm going to take the over on this one.
All right, I'm going to pull a max here. I have bias towards Minnesota. I know.
Don't do it,
Bro,
I'm not lying. I'm not lying.
I genuinely
I'm not lying like Reese. I genuinely know he's an equipment manager at Auburn University. He's a Minnesota fan. He graduated from the University of Minnesota. I got the Gophers. Let's go, Golden Gophers. Is it in Minnesota? In Minneapolis? Yep, they're winning. Okay, let's go. Next one.
Hopefully
Taking the
not.
over.
No.
High-scoring game. High-scoring affair. Matt Rule, what you did to the Panthers, you lifted my hopes and spirits up, and you completely buried them into the ground. You were horrible at Panthers. You're going to be horrible at Nebraska. It's time for you to go to the retirement home, have fun with your wife, play some golf, have fun with your kids if you even have kids. I don't know. Let's go, Golden Gophers.
Wait, I have one question.
Okay.
Does Minnesota still have Tanner Morgan? Do they still have Tanner Morgan? Their starting quarterback for the last 5 years?
I think he's too old to play.
I'm checking right now.
Probably pulling a Stetson Bennett in his 8th year.
Nebraska by 14. Thank you very much. They got a new quarterback. Yeah, no, Minnesota's done.
All right, next one. We're moving past. Go, Golden
You're
Gophers.
absolutely riding Jeff Sims.
The last in-conference game, we got a close one here. Number 3 at Indiana in Bloomington.
You said close one?
A tough place to play.
You said close one?
The current line is OSU by 30 and an over-under of 60.5. Honestly, obviously.
OSU by 30, next one.
Obviously, I don't have Indiana winning. Obviously, that was a joke. But here's the thing. No. I'll speak, and then we'll keep it organized. So, Ohio State. Recently, what I've been seeing with them and Devin Brown and the Kyle McCord QB battle, this is literally what Ryan Day said a couple weeks ago to an interviewer about their QB battle. He said, both of the quarterbacks, because neither of them has won the starting job from what I've heard. I've heard Devin Brown's kind of pulling away, but what Ryan Day said is really telling about what's going on at Ohio State right now. He said both of them have honestly just not impressed them, and that's why they don't have currently a starting job. It's not that both of them are playing really good. It's that both of them aren't playing good enough. And so that is Ohio State fan. Now, obviously, they got the wide receiver quarterback or wide receiver receiving room of just the best of all time with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka. But, I mean, I don't know about this Ohio State team. I'm going to say they're going to win. I don't think they're going to win by 30. And I don't think they're going to score as many points as we think they are. Indiana, obviously, poverty. But give me the Buckeyes 35-7. 35-17.
So you said this game's going to be close.
No, I was joking. Joke. So 35-17 Buckeyes. So I'm taking.
I got Ohio State.
Yeah.
I got Ohio State by 40, covering the line. I got the over because I think Ohio State will score about 60 and Indiana will score about 3.
Okay, buddy.
I'm putting the hammer down. Ohio State by 50. Go Buckeyes.
Hey, man.
50
hey.
points.
let it be known. This isn't me trying to say Indiana's good. No, they're horrible. This is going to be. I think his name is like what, Tim Allen or something. He decided to name himself after an actor from Toy Story. But this is his last season. They had that one good season in 2020, which, like I said, everybody's asterisk year. The random team Syracuse was good in that season. But
Somehow.
I would say, yeah, Ohio State's definitely going to win. But I don't think give me that by 18, 35-17, and yeah, let's keep it rolling. Now we get some non-conference games. Now I love me some good non-conference games because it's kind of like what would happen if this team played this team, kind of deal. And we got some interesting ones. Now this first one is not so interesting, but I just put it on here because two pretty historic programs, like in one very way back in the past, and then one kind of recently. But Virginia at Tennessee, 11 a.m. on ABC on Saturday to start off the Saturday slate. The line is Tennessee by 28, and the over/under is 57.5. I'm gonna say that Tennessee covers, and it's actually versus. They're playing in the Titan Stadium, so it's technically a neutral site game. But give me Tennessee by more plus 28. I got him by like 35. And over, I think Joe Milton is putting up 63 on Virginia. That's my prediction. That's my prediction.
Joe Milton. Joe Milton is a dog, absolute unit. I think he will win Heisman in the coming years. I think Tennessee wins this game big. I love Rocky Top. I've been to a Tennessee game. I actually went to the Battle of Bristol. As a Virginia, which love Virginia Tech, but I really don't think they'll be good this year. Tennessee fans, they're awesome. I love their traditions. I love their songs. I loved Hendon Hooker last year. I think Tennessee wins this game big.
Yeah, no, I think Virginia, they haven't really been that good since about 2018, 2019. I see Tennessee running all over them, especially Virginia's never seen an SEC defense before, so I'm gonna say Tennessee probably covers the spread, and they'll probably go 11-1, something like that this season.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was like Bryce Hawkins or Bryce Flowers or whatever it was in 2018, 2019. That guy was a dog who they had at quarterback. I mean, Brennan Armstrong 2 years ago, he wasn't terrible, and their team was okay. But yeah, no, Tennessee this is the year. If Joe Milton is able to be what everybody thinks he's going to be, which I also think he's going to be, I mean, you're looking at a team that could, if they, play well enough against Georgia, could possibly sneak in as like possibly a second SEC team or something like that. But let's move on to the next one. West Virginia at number 7 Penn State. Now, I specified the at. Last year was in West Virginia, and it was actually a really close game, and I watched the entire thing. Really good game between the Mountaineers and the Nittany Lions. And this year, the line is 20.5 Penn State, and it's also over/under is 50.5. I just don't know. It's in Beaver Stadium. That's the big tell to me. I mean, one of the best home field advantages, and I love the whiteout. But I just don't know because this is kind of like they're trying to make it like be a yearly rivalry thing because it used to be back in the day. And it's just something about season openers once again. I mean, last game, Penn State barely won by 7, against a West Virginia team that ended up being way worse than the Penn State team was by the end of the year. So I don't know. I got Penn State winning this one. I don't think they cover. And I think it's still going to be over, though, because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Penn State's defense is really good, but like I said, it's season openers, and West Virginia, they're going to draw up something. And so Penn State not covering, and then give me the over. Give me the over 50.5.
I got a question. Is JT Daniels still at West Virginia?
No.
Oh,
he's not.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a very close game because you're gonna have a West Virginia team that's young and they're gonna be up for this game, even though it's at Beaver Stadium, which we've seen a lot of people come into Beaver Stadium the past few years and get absolutely blown out. But I say that it's a close game for a while. But I say Penn State holds their own at home and is able to come out on top. and I would say they cover the spread. And I'm going to take the over, like Max said, because this game's probably going to be a very high-scoring game.
I'm gonna be honest. I think y'all are crazy for thinking this is gonna be close. I've firsthand experienced Penn State. It's rowdy. Fans there are super nice, but they're just super into it. The whiteout, the student section will be packed for the season opener. I think the Penn State quarterback, from what we saw him last year, we saw glimmers of hope last year. I think he'll come out. I think he'll be an absolute unit. I think Penn State wins this game. I think they cover. I think it goes over. I think Penn State just wins this game by a lot and kind of shakes the college football world as a 7 seed. I think they'll give the rankings a run for their money. I think they deserve to be ranked a little bit higher than they are.
Well, see, if you think about it,
Here's the
they
thing,
don't have
Taylor.
Clifford.
Yeah,
No, not Clifford. The dude from last year.
Drew Aller.
Yes.
Here's the thing, Taylor. I fully agree with you. I think Drew Aller is honestly he is another sleeper for the Heisman at 6. He's almost 5 right now. He's 6'4.5". But I mean, last year he played basically perfect whenever he came in. I'm looking at his stats right now: 357 pass yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and I mean, yeah, he's an absolute dog. And they got Nick Singleton at running back, and like you said, firsthand experience. They absolutely destroyed Auburn in Jordan Hare, which not many non-conference teams are able to do. And so, but it's just a feeling about this game, about rivalries and about season openers. It just feels like a perfect storm to West Virginia to play really good like they did last year. I don't expect West Virginia, when it's all said and done, to be even close to a playoff team. But I do expect Penn State to be in the running for a playoff team this year. But this game, there's just an interesting feeling about it. And yeah, that's why I got Penn State winning but not covering. Next, we move into a Thursday night game on ESPN, Florida at number 14, Utah. And the spread right now is Utah by 6.5. And the over-under is 46 points. And note, Utah's starting quarterback, Cam Rising, will not be playing in the game. That's the only notable injury from any of these matchups from what I've seen. Actually, there's one in LSU's game, which I'll get to when we get to that. But Cam Rising, if you haven't watched him, absolute stud at quarterback. But he got hurt in their bowl game last year against Penn State, and he hasn't fully recovered. And so, yeah, so just a note for that. But I still think Utah. I don't believe in Florida. We talked about it earlier. I think Florida will finish with the worst record in the SEC, bar an upset from Vanderbilt on the road. But I don't believe in Florida. I don't believe in Graham Mertz. You got to show me something before I can start giving you wins. And Florida, as well as Graham Mertz, just hasn't shown me anything over the last couple of years. And so I think Utah wins this one, and I think they cover the spread. Give me them by 14 at least. And I think that this is going to be an over just because Utah is going to be able to score a lot. And, yeah, so that's my predictions.
Yeah, it's a tough game for Florida, especially going into Utah and how Utah's been the past few years with how good they've been. We saw it last year. There was a really controversial call at the end of the game last year in the Florida-Utah game that Utah ended up losing. Probably, I would say, cost them a college football playoff spot. But I would say Utah is going to win this game without Rising, because Florida, like you said, Max, Florida is just not – to me, Florida doesn't look like they're going to be competitive for the next 4 to 5 years, honestly, until they get a coach that has SEC experience and has –
Is it not Billy Napier anymore?
Yeah, I'm not hating on Sunbelt Billy. This is not a Sunbelt Billy hate rant. I mean, you see they're recruiting for next year. I think they'll be good at some point in the next 2 or 3. But, I mean, Graham Mertz is your quarterback. He was known for throwing interceptions at Wisconsin. That's what his brand was. And so you bring somebody like start. I mean, that just shows how bad you think of Jack Miller, who started in your bowl game last year, transferred from Ohio State. So it's not Graham Mertz could be kind of shaky and they bring in some. No, it's just that their entire QB room sucks. They don't have much depth anywhere in any of their positions. I mean, it's just a down year, and I hate it for Florida because Florida is always, it's always a great college football season when Florida's good because we get that good Florida-Georgia rivalry. But, I mean, yeah, like, it's not it this year for Florida.
But no, I think I'm going to take Utah. I'm going to take Utah to not cover spread. I'm going to say they're going to go over probably. I'm going to say it's going to be for them. They're going to score a lot of points. I say Florida scores about 10 to 17 points. I'm going to say final score is going to be I'm going to say 45 to 17.
Ooh, you think
right.
you think Foley Prattville blowout? Gosh dang!
All right, the pick that everyone waited for.
Here we go.
So, University of Florida. It's beautiful. Like it's one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever been to. All their facilities are just amazing. The swamp is historic. It's getting renovations. It's going to be done around next year. All the renovations. Hey, shout out to Netflix, new Florida documentary. Got me on that Florida bandwagon right now. Yet they don't have a Tim Tebow at all. They don't have a Kyle Pitts at all. Billy Napier, I think what he's done is good for the program. I think that he will be good. So I'm going to take Florida with the upset.
Wow.
Cam Rising, I think, is just a huge factor in this game. You're going to put some young quarterback into the mix for Utah. I think he's going to get shaken by the Florida. I think the Florida defense will come out to play. I think Florida wins this game, and I think they win it by a game-winning field goal at the last second. Do not throw your shoe this time, defensive lineman. Please.
Hey, once again, I'm not saying it can't happen. I just got to see it first from the Gators. You know,
I just don't see it because, like, even though Utah doesn't have Rising, I just think that Florida, they don't have any talent this year.
Exactly.
They have a running back that was good. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year. Defensive lineman that was good. Tore his ACL. Out for the year. They have so many injuries in practice, and it's just you don't have any depth, like Max said. And you also have a quarterback who last year led a Wisconsin team who was supposed to go, I think they were supposed to go like 10-2, 9-3 like they always do. Ended up going like 4-8, 3-9. So I don't really see Florida being able to even come close to beating Utah.
Yeah, and I mean, you make a good point, and I'm gonna wrap this up before we move on to the final three matchups, which are all really intriguing in my opinion. But no, like Florida, you look at teams like Florida, and you look at teams similar to, I mean, heck, I'd compare them to like Tennessee before Hendon Hooker like last season. I mean, all those years. The one thing that they can always count on and always, hold on their shoulders is that how much talent they always have, and how much depth they can go. That's really the big thing about all SEC teams is because you're in all these nice southeastern states and you're in the best conference in college football. I mean, you're able to recruit and you're able to get the best.
Unless you're Vanderbilt or Missouri.
Unless you're Vanderbilt, obviously.
Missouri. They next year is supposed to be good.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Even Missouri, you see them bringing in great players, and so Florida just doesn't have that this year. They don't have that star-studded team. I mean, because last year they had Anthony Richardson, they had Travis Etienne, or not Travis Etienne, his younger brother. I can't remember his first name, but
I think it was like Mark Etienne or like Michael Etienne.
It was something like that. But like both really talented players, and I mean, but this year you don't, and I don't believe Billy Napier. He's gonna get it done, but I don't believe in his coaching just yet. Because he did so good at UL Lafayette, but also Kyle Whittingham is just an absolute beast at drawing up defensive schemes at Utah. And so I have more faith in them. The more experienced team, the more talented team beating Florida at home. Now we move into the top three matchups. And first we're going to start off with a game that I have been really excited for, especially after both of their bowl games and seasons last year. North Carolina versus South Carolina, number 21 North Carolina versus South Carolina. They're going to be playing in the Panther Stadium, Bank of America Stadium. It's going to be, a good game.
Yeah.
Okay, but you got Drake May versus Spencer Rattler, two of the they're saying like Heisman candidates this year, more Drake May than Spencer Rattler. But this is going to be a great game. And the spread right now is North Carolina by 2.5. and the over-under is 64.5 because both these teams can really run up the scoreboard. And honestly, I think I'm going to go with the over here. That this is one of my kind of, I guess you'd say, upset picks. I got South Carolina winning this game. I feel like, once again, like I just talked about with Florida, South Carolina, they have that talent this year. They have, to me, they have more depth. The only spot, though, that I'm really worried about, because this is basically one of the most crucial spots you'll see in big games like this, is the offensive line. Not as good this year as it's going to be in the year when they bring in like Cam Pringle and other 5-star recruits that they've been able to nab. But I still got them winning this game. I think it's going to come down to who has the ball last. And give me South Carolina 38-35. That's my score prediction. You heard it here first. Give me the over. Give me South Carolina winning this game straight up.
I'm gonna take. I'm gonna just say North Carolina. Fan. I'm a Duke fan too, so I hate North Carolina. Always have. But yeah, South Carolina's in the SEC. I always got to root for SEC teams. I just think that, Drake May, I do think, is a great Heisman candidate. I don't see Rattler as much being a Heisman candidate, but I'm going to say South Carolina wins this game 42-38. Bank of America Stadium. Always got to love a good those two playing each other is always fun. We saw it a few years ago when North Carolina was starting to get back into being a good football team again. We saw that game, and it was exciting between those two. But, yeah, I say South Carolina 42-38. That means I'm taking the over, and I do not think they will cover the spread.
All right, so here we go. Growing up, my grandfather played football at Virginia Tech. He was actually a coach of Frank Beamer. And if you know Frank Beamer, he's Virginia Tech legend, probably one of the best coaches in college football history. His son, Shane Beamer, what he's done at South Carolina is absolutely a miracle. I mean, you look at South Carolina, they were always, besides Jadeveon Clowney, they were just always kind of that 6-6, 7-5 mid team that no one really talked about. They would always give Alabama a run for their money. They would always give Auburn a run for their money when Auburn would ever play them. But, hey, North Carolina is going to be looking nice with those powder blues. Okay. Drake May is overrated, but he's a Heisman candidate. Mac Brown, grandpa mentality. He's going to lead the North Carolina Tar Heels into victory. And I got to go the Tar Heels of North Carolina with them the Jordan branding on the shoes, the pants, the jerseys. It's just, I mean, you've got notable alumni forever. Gosh, North Carolina's going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it by a touchdown. And I got the over because I do think this will be a very high-scoring game. Now, my final prediction is 52-45, North Carolina.
Whoa! High.
Jeez. Hey, I'm not opposed. I love scoring, so I would love to see that.
What's our next game, Max?
So, our next game, well, before we do that, I wanted to just ask you real quick, because you picked North Carolina, just really quick, how well do you see Drake May performing without Josh Downs?
And
they didn't bring in. They brought in Quintez Watkins, ongoing case where they're saying that he's not going to be able to play this year. So
yeah, I was about to ask who their receivers are because I didn't know if they had any good.
Hey, Drake May will find a way. He's the GOAT. Drake May is the GOAT. He is the Heisman winner of this year.
I want to see him play App State again. That game was good.
Yeah, that game's going to be a good one to watch too. All right, we got two more games, and this first one is going to be kind of what Taylor mentioned during his team huddle, and it's going to be Colorado at number 7. College game day is coming to Texas Christian University, and we'll go ahead. The line is TCU by 21, and the over/under is 59.5. So, in Amon G. Carter Stadium, what were you going to say, Taylor?
Ever wanted to listen to a podcast where high school students interview their high school coaches?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just sound awesome?
Yeah. it
Well, I
does.
mean, you should listen to. I mean, audience, you got to listen to play callers. I mean, we're having a heartfelt conversation with these coaches. We personally know them. They're amazing people. They're amazing coaches. They're mentors to our players. Auburn High football state championship this year. Go listen to play callers coming out every Monday at 2:30, right before this one comes out at 3:30, and go listen if you really love this one.
That sounds exciting. I'll have to listen to it after this. Or actually,
Yeah.
wait, I could have already listened to it because it comes out before this. But
Yeah,
now
and we already have our first episode out.
Exactly. It's first episode, and if you're listening to this, we should have first 2 episodes. So you can listen back to back, start binge listening to that. But
Also, check out Blue Collar Mentality, published by HS Mass Media. That's all the ads I got. Let's keep going on with the game.
yeah, exactly. I mean, we got so much stuff we're doing at HS Mass Media. Honestly, just go onto our Instagram, go onto our YouTube, and we're also on Twitter, I believe. And so, yeah, and you'll see all of the stuff
You mean
that we
X?
got going on.
Des Bryant, hold up the X. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. All right, let's lock in on Colorado at TCU. I've got TCU, but I am a big Coach Prime fan, and I love what he's done at Colorado. I do. Now, I don't see Colorado winning a lot of games this year, but it's a long process. I do think he'll eventually get it done if he stays. And
3-9.
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen this year. I got them going 4-8, not 3-9. I think they'll sneak one out against like Arizona State or somebody like that. But I got TCU, but I got them by like 17. I don't think they'll get quite 21. Give me them 38 to 21. So I'll go with basically just under with at 59 points. The over under is 59.5. Give me just under that. And give me TCU by 17, 38-21.
All right. This one's going to be a very big one. All right, so Colorado, either 3-9 or 2-10. Taylor thinks they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think TCU probably without Max Duggar. I think they don't.
Duggar.
Duggan. I don't think they win. I don't think they'll win as much games as they did last year. They'll probably go like 9-3 or something. But I say TCU probably new quarterback. I say what Max said, probably about like 17, maybe 24 points they win. But Taylor thinks they'll probably win by, or Colorado will win by infinity. So.
All right. Yeah. Shout out. Hey, TCU. Shout out. Last year, college football playoff performance was one of the greatest things I've ever seen until you got to the national championship and you lost by like 63. But besides that, congratulations, Max Duggan. You're an absolute dog. Shout out to my dear friend that goes to TCU. She's probably not listening to this. But, I mean, Colorado,
no,
they were my team huddle.
No.
I just wish
I understand.
I wish I could just lock arms with Colorado Buffalo fans. I could go to their games. I could see Coach Prime work his magic. Coach Prime is a magician. He should go on AGT. He could win the whole thing. But besides that, Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, all the transfers, all the recruits have led to this moment. The sold-out spring game, all the Colorado fans are going to be looking at their TVs. They're going to be jumping up and down. They're going to be throwing stuff at their TV if it doesn't go their way. But it will go their way because they will win. Colorado will win this game by 14 points. 35-21, Colorado Buffaloes.
Vanderbilt can beat them.
Buffaloes.
You think – wait, so what is your score prediction? How much is
35-21.
What?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, they're your team huddle. I can respect, but let's move on to the game that everybody is waiting on. The game that is going to be happening on, I think it's going to be happening on Sunday. Yes, Sunday night
on ABC.
On ABC, 6:30 prime time. And if you listen to next week's episode, we'll probably be giving our live reaction. It won't be live to you, but it'll be live to us, our live reaction on this game. And I've been waiting all summer, pins and needles for this game. Number 5 LSU versus number 8 State Stadium in Orlando, a great stadium. I actually got the chance to go to the Florida State Oklahoma game for the Cheez-It Bowl last year. Great game. and great atmosphere. And I'm not gonna lie, the line right now is LSU 2.5, and the over under
Is it a neutral game like it was last year?
It's a
Yeah,
neutral
it's in
game.
Orlando.
It's in Orlando, so Florida State's going to have obviously more of a home crowd.
It was in the Superdome last year, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. So
All right.
last year was
blocked extra point.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Florida State upsetting LSU because big injury report for LSU. Mason Smith is not going to be playing in this game. If you don't know who Mason Smith is, 6'5", 250 freak on the defensive line / defensive
Wait, did you say
end.
Mason Smith?
Yeah.
Yes, he's not playing.
Well, if you love Mason Smith, check out Blue Collar Mentality. He's a videographer.
Oh.
He is such an amazing person. Go check
that
out.
was good. That was good. That was smooth. That was smooth. I can respect it. But yeah, no, Florida State, I got winning this game. Jordan Travis is an absolute dog. This is his year. I got him. Honestly, if I had to put in one name to win the Heisman this year, I wouldn't go as far as to say Jordan Travis is a lock. But I mean, I think Jordan Travis and Caleb Williams are my two favorites right now. Jordan Travis has got all the tools. You watched him last year against LSU and all those teams. If he stays fully healthy, I mean, he's able to run the ball. He's able to create space in between the defense. And, yeah, I got Florida State winning this game. Give me the over as well. This is going to be an absolute fireworks show. 42-38, Florida State winning it in Orlando. Give me the Noles. Yeah, let's go.
I'm gonna let Taylor pick because I'm gonna be like.
No, Reese, you got it. I'm
gonna be, no. I'm gonna be like Lee Corso on game day.
No.
Yes, I'm Lee
Reese,
Corso
it's your
on
turn.
game day.
Nope.
Okay, here we go. All right, this is a very good matchup. I'm taking this one. This one's it's really hard because LSU, a lot of talent there, but Mason Smith's out. Videographer for mass media. But yeah, no. Also, Florida State, they have a lot of talent too. You know what? I'm walk chop. I'm going Florida State. Go Noles.
Exactly.
They're winning by 14.
Oh my gosh, he pulled a tail.
It's gonna be 52 to 38.
So do they pull away at the end, or is it like they get up by 4?
It's gonna be they pull away at the end because Taylor's gonna be cheering for LSU, and then how
I
it
got
goes.
you. Yeah. Respectable.
All
right, Taylor, let's get it over with.
Stephen A. Smith.
All right. Jalen Daniels is the best quarterback in college football this year.
It's Jaden.
Oh yeah,
Jaden Daniels.
Oh no.
Is the best quarterback in college football this year.
Bro named the
LSU is going to be the national championship. Is going to be the national champions. I'm going to pick them every single week. It doesn't matter. Florida State. I can't lie. I got family friends that go to Florida State. Beautiful campus.
Sure
I've toured it. Amazing journalism program. I've looked at it. It's amazing. But come on, it's the LSU freaking Tigers. LSU is a national powerhouse. Brian Kelly's going to be there. Former Notre Dame coach Jaden Daniels is going to be a dog. He's going to throw 5 touchdowns. I got LSU winning this game 42-28. LSU wins this game, and I'm going to pull an Ed Orgeron. Go Tigers!
This guy.
It's because of Livy Dunn, isn't it, Taylor?
No.
Bro's ready for gymnastics season more than he is football. I love it. Well, that's going to do it for the picks.
Of LSU. All right. That's going to do it for the first debut episode of the Tigers Den. We had a blast. We're so glad that you listened to us this week. Be sure to check out our episodes coming out every single Monday at 3:30. Also, be sure to check out our Play Callers podcast coming out Monday. If you want to see us interviewing Auburn High School head coaches, also check out HS Mass Media. We got a bunch of broadcasts. We got high school volleyball, high school football, high school basketball, high school baseball, high school everything you want. Every single day we got something probably. If you're an Auburn High School student listening to this, join HiDef. Get involved with the broadcast. Meet all the amazing people. Thank you for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition of the Tigers Den podcast. Be sure to check out our episodes airing every single Monday at 3:30 p.m. Central on all platforms. Also be sure to check out our other podcast, Play Callers, where we interview a coach from Auburn High School, also airing every single Monday at 2:30 p.m. Central on all platforms.